Okay, I got more. So the very next section, which I'll put into the description in James chapter 5, talks about, since we know that God cares about us, why would we conjure up kind of magic oaths to get him to respond to us? And basically then goes into the let your yes be yes and your no be no section. And that's such a super interesting idea, that if we really have a truthful and trusting relationship with the Lord, then we don't need to do this manipulation piece. Although just as part of a discussion yesterday in a Bible study, that there are times when in our kind of earthly way of understanding God, where we do this tit for tat thing. They say that there's no atheists in foxholes, and part of it's because we do this negotiation thing with God. And it's basically, if you do this, I will do that. But we talked a lot about that yesterday, that this is a different kind of covenant that we have a relationship with God in. It's not tit for tat, it's actually one-sided. If you look at the whole history of mankind and go back to like Abraham, even before the law existed, Abraham had a relationship with God that was based on his faith and his faith alone. And then the law followed. And so it's my proposition that covenant with Abraham is still in effect, and I know that because I can read it in Hebrews, that's the same covenant we come with faith to receive, as our righteousness comes from our faith in Christ alone, being imputed by Christ's death on the cross. So lots of big kid words there, but the idea is that we have a relationship with the Lord because he initiated it, and that he who became sin became to give us his righteousness and take on our sin. And it's just really super important for us to understand from which position we come. We don't get to, and we might try, and God is really gracious and lets us do this negotiation thing, and sometimes he's going to respond to that. If you do this, I'm going to do that. But the reality is in most cases, that could lead to some really bad outcomes, and a lot of people have done that. They've had, the sun's really bad right there, sorry. Really bad outcomes because they've said, God, I'm going to do this, and then you have to do that as a result, but not being led by the Spirit to do such a thing. And then, when it does not come to pass, that's when the big questions come. Why does God not respond to my prayer? Why don't I get what I need? Why, and it's all about us rather than what the Lord might intend. And so this whole passage talks to me about the idea that we need to be patient and understand, like Job's even referenced in this passage, that God is patient, but he also has an intention that's his own, and it's not ours necessarily. So I'm really trying to reconcile that. I feel like I'm having a bad couple days, just personality-wise. I've got a lot of uncertainties hanging out in my life, and not things I can control, and not really sure what the future holds. However, I do know the one who does, and so I'm really reticent to commit to anything without a real sense of what God's doing. So I want my yes to be yes and my no to be no, and so when I finally get committed to certain things, then I'm going to completely and fully commit to them. And that may be part of what's got me a little off center right now, is because with some uncertainty around my job, this happens every year, so I don't know why it's a new thing to me, but with some uncertainty about my job, committing to other things that people are mentioning to me, or even putting in a hard day's work all the time for something that might, in planning, that might not come to pass because I might not have a job in 2 weeks. Even that interesting dynamic has made me a little off center. And I don't know how you all feel about being in kind of situations of uncertainty. But for me, I don't even realize that I'm not leaning into the Lord. I feel like I'm holding out pretty good, and then all of a sudden it kind of comes rushing in on me, and just a little bit of frustration with controlling certain things, because that's how I respond, is I try to control what I can control, and rather than understanding that there's kind of these circles of control, that there's things that are within my power, things that I might be able to influence, and things that are well outside my power, and just learning how to balance that out. Anyway, I wanted to go just a little step further, and I may actually go further than that once I get a little more time to soak in the last part of James. Because I'm kind of done with James. I mean, I love the book, and I've learned a lot. But this format and kind of the ongoing wanting to complete it has made it difficult for me to stay focused. So here we are enduring. Okay, thanks, bye.